Like the war on drugs was the 80s. That the mass incarceration was predominantly because of what I would agree with you was a failed war on drugs, which is why we took so many proactive steps in the justice reinvestment. Maybe not enough, but certainly tried to take as many steps as we could. And we will be doing more. I'm certain of it. But at the end of the day, like the bill that, like to lump somebody who's a heroin user together with somebody who is a multiple offender of bringing a gun to a violent crime, to kind of lump them together and say, see, everybody just wants to throw people in jail, is so beyond, in my opinion, completely disingenuous to kind of, without telling them that that's what you're saying, right? Without making sure that they know, right, that in one sense, the legislature took huge steps to take this committee actually during justice reinvestment wanted to have a provision in justice reinvestment that said that if you got caught with possession, that it would essentially be automatically sent to treatment, that you would really divert completely out of the criminal justice system to begin with, you would never go see a jail cell. You go right from the courtroom to the treatment bed, and it just became an unworkable thing. We tried, though. The House kind of pushed back, and probably rightfully so. That's a world of difference, wouldn't you say, from somebody who truly, and I get you say there's problems in the system. Obviously, that's true. But for the person who has been convicted multiple times of bringing a gun to a felony, of convicted of bringing a gun to a robbery, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, to say that because we wanted to put some more time on the hands, somehow we all want mass incarceration. Wouldn't you at least have to admit that there is a difference between that and an addict? That there's a little bit of disingenuousness by telling people that we all want to throw all these people in jail and mass incarcerate, when really what we were talking about were people who are multiple repeat offenders of using guns in crimes?
So, on one hand, Chairman, that if we're serious about dealing with people that are committing violent crimes, people that are committing homicides, then the police, when they charge people with murder, they need to be able to get the state's attorney the information in a credible case. And when I talk to police officers and people that work within the agency, the level of dysfunction that I mentioned earlier was exposed because of the federal trial, helps us to get a greater understanding as to why it's difficult to prosecute those homicides. When I talk about the sentence enhancements and mass incarceration, and this goes back to Senator Cassidy's question or comment in terms of, my argument isn't that people are bigoted and want to throw people in jail. My argument's actually different than that. My argument is that there's a level of disregard for folks in communities that are most proximate to this element. And let me give you an example of what I mean. There are people who I know, 22-year-old brother who lives on Poplar Grove and North Avenue, who has to walk their 8-year-old sister to Alexander Hamilton. Now, he's from the community and knows that there are people in the neighborhood who have guns and who are dangerous. And that in order to make sure that they send the signal that they can protect themselves, that they have a gun. Now, am I saying that we should condone mass people having illegal guns? No. But what I'm saying is that the judicial system should not treat that person the same as a person who's engaged in first-degree murder. And my issue with the sentence enhancements is it creates a dynamic, knowing the way in which a lot of people plead things they didn't do because they don't have money for a lawyer. So the attorneys may hit them with a whole bunch of charges, and they have to take something so they don't have to go to trial and risk losing. And so we have a lot of people that get swept up by the criminal justice system. And someone like the gentleman that I just mentioned, because of the sentence enhancements, will now have to spend 5 years in jail because of the fact that they did something that most people in their rational mind would decide to do. And I'm saying we should not treat those people the same. That's my argument.